Now a very important concept of QTP, object repository. Object repository, the very important concept, object repository and learning process. These are the two things what we are going to discuss today. Object repository and other one is a learning process. Learning process. Clear? So let's go ahead and let's discuss what exactly this object repository is and what we call it as a learning process. Two things. Let's start with object repository. So what is an object repository? The point one. And what is the use of object repository? These two things we'll discuss now. Object repository. Can you see here object repository in the resources? I guess you can see this object repository, or else you can click on Control plus R. I'm going to say Control R, you'll get the object repository. So, okay. So this is your object repository on the screen. This is your object repository. See here object repository. So what is this use of object repository? We'll explain. Before going to that, we'll understand few things now. So I'm going to compare this object repository as a brain for the QTP. Object repository, I'm going to compare it like a brain for the QTP. So let me justify why I am calling it as a brain. The simple concept here, let's come. You know a desktop computer, right? A desktop computer. So how can you say that it's a desktop? How can you say that a computer? By looking at it, how can you define that it's a computer? How will identify that as a computer? Because it has some properties, like it should have some mouse, it should have some CPU, it should have monitor, it should have keyboard. Yes? When all these things are existing, then we can say that is a computer. Yes? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll identify, as a human, we'll identify every object using its properties. Using its properties. As simple as that. Right? I can say that. Much easier. Let's assume that you are waiting for your friend. You are waiting for your friend and two people are walking towards you. Two people are walking towards you. How will you identify your friend? Because you know your friend's properties. You know your friend's height, color, how he looks, yes, gender, nationality, all these things are the properties of your friend. So all the properties of your friend have been already stored in your brain. By looking at your friend, your brain recalls the information, by looking at your friend, you will recall the information from the brain and you will try to identify your friend. The other person is unknown because you have no information of that person in your brain. Yes? So as a human, whenever you are trying to identify anything, we use its property. We use its property. It can be height, weight, color, gender, so whatever it may be, we use the properties to identify an object. That is the point one. Next. I am going to show you an object. I am going to show you an object. You haven't seen that object in your lifetime. A new object to you. So obviously it's an unidentified object for you, right? Because you don't know any properties of that object. Yes? A new object. So because that object's information is not existing in your brain, so you're not going to identify that. Yes? Yes or no? So as a human, if you have any information in your brain, only in that circumstances you will try to identify that. Yes? What information? Properties, I mean to say. If you have the information called properties of an object, then only we are going to identify anything. So if the properties are not existing in your brain, obviously you will not identify anything. Is that clear with this? Yes?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
To identify any object or anything in the world, you need to have the properties of it. Yes? So first of all, you need to know what is a laptop. Then only you can identify that it's as a laptop. Yes or no? Simple.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, same. Let's convert into a QTP model now. I am comparing my object repository as a brain, right? Same. Even so-called this object repository stores, even the object repository stores the information of the objects in object repository. Here, a simple thing. So I'm asking QTP to click on this OK button. I'm asking QTP to click on this OK button, the OK button what you are seeing on the screen. This OK button. Here. So for that, basically I will write a script, a single line script. A simple statement to click on this OK button. Now guys, what happens if I run the test? Obviously, you should click on that OK button, right? So let me define it. Now, so this is the command. This is the command what I am, or else this is the instruction. This is the instruction what I am giving to the QTP to perform. So I am asking QTP to click on the OK button. This is just a command. Okay? So let's convert like this. I am asked like Sidhu, bring a pen. Bring a pen. A simple command. I am asking you to bring a pen. What would be the next question from your end? What pen I need to bring and from where I need to bring, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
you ask you to bring a pen. So it's not a 100% what you call informative one, right? So I just ask you to bring a pen, but I have not defined but where is the pen, where the pen is existing, what pen you need to bring, right? Yes, it is also same thing. I have asked QTP to click on OK button, but I have not defined where is OK button, how to identify the OK button, what is the height of the OK button, what is the width of the OK button, how OK button looks, who has created it, when created it. All this information I have not provided in the script, right? I have just asked QTP to click on OK button. As I said, I just asked Sidhu to bring a pen. That is not enough, right? I need to say like this. Bring a pen which is on a desk. Yes? So let's assume that on the desk we have 3 or 4 pens. So I need to define like this. Bring a black pen which is on desk. Yes? So black pen and desk are the properties, right? Yes? So then only you can bring a pen. The same thing. If I ask QTP to click on OK button, it will not. It will not. I need to add few more information of this OK button. Like, what is the height of that OK button? I'm just giving an example. Like, what is the height on a OK button? Where the OK button is existing. Yes? What is the text on OK button? Means, I need to give the properties of that OK button so that QTP collects the properties and it will try to identify that OK button and it will try to operate it. So, where I am going to store these properties? So, these properties basically I am going to store in object repository. Yeah? Just a second, please. Just give me a minute. Correct? I'm discussing that whenever we have information of that object, only in the circumstances where QTP identify the object. So I need to store that information of that OK, right? So what is the height of that OK? What is the width of that OK? That should be stored. Basically, we are going to store that in the object repository. Yeah? The same like a brain. The objects, basically the object properties will be stored in our brain, right?
Yeah.
Same like that in the QTP environment also, to identify the object, QTP should have some information of that object. So called that information will be loaded into object repository. If I say information in the sense, it is nothing but the properties of a object. Like what are the properties? Basically, height is a property, width is a property, text is a property, like this. We have few properties. We will be discussing about the properties as we move into the subject, but as if now, object repository is the place where it stores the object's information. Object information in the sense, the properties of a object. So whenever we have a properties of an object in the object repository, and after that when you run the test, QTP calls the information, QTP try to capture the information from the object repository, and it will try to identify the objects and it will try to perform the activity on it. If you have no information in the object repository, in a sense, it is brainless, right? If you have, maybe it has a brain, but there is no information in the brain, right? If there is no information in the brain, obviously your QTP will not identify anything. As simple as that, right? Yes? So if you have the information in the object repository, only in the circumstances your QTP will understand the object. Else, it will not. Is that clear? What is an object repository? Object repository is a place where it stores the object properties. Clear? Yes, it can be any property. An object has a lot of properties. So we'll be discussing about the properties in our next class. But an object repository is a place where it stores object properties literally. Clear? Now, is that clear with this? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Now, learning process. As I said, we are going to deal with the learning process today. Learning process. Adding the information into object repository. Adding the information into object repository, or is loading the information into object repository, is called learning process. What? Learning process. Okay, it's called learning process. You know that without loading the information into the object repository, your test will not run. So loading the information into object repository is called learning process. So we have two types of learning process. One is auto learning. Auto learning. The second one is free learning. Free learning. Yeah? First of all, is that clear? What is the object repository? Object repository it stores object properties. But what is the learning process? As I said earlier, without having the information in the object repository, your test will not run. So adding the respective information into object repository is called auto learn. Okay? It's called auto learn. So we have two things, auto learning and free learning. Let's go ahead and let's discuss what exactly the auto learning and free learning. Yeah? Let's start with auto learn. Auto learn. Just have a look on the object repository now. So your object repository is empty. So I'm just clicking on record. Just have a look on this. I'm performing activity on the application. So I'm writing username. I'm writing password. I'm clicking on OK. So just open your object repository. Here. I have operated on OK, I have operated on agent name and I have operated on cancel. And the information of that object has been loaded into object repository. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yes, earlier it was empty. Now we have the information in it. So this is what we call it as an auto learning. So in the auto learning, you need not do anything. Just click on record and perform the activity on the end application without your notice, without your intervention. QTP will automatically load the information into object repository. Yes? So that's the reason we'll call it as an auto learning. You are not going to do anything over there, right? So it's a auto learn. Yeah? Now, here I have few other things also, like cancel and help. Why QTP has not loaded this cancel and help? Because we haven't made any operations on it, right? We have made operations on agent name, password and OK. Only those has been loaded into object repository. If I would have performed on cancel and help, even those would have loaded into object repository. Yes, that is what we need to understand. So depending on the operations performed by us, that information will be automatically loaded into object repository with respect to two operations. That is what we call it as. Yeah. If I perform on agent name will be loaded. If I perform on cancel, cancel will be loaded. So depending on my operations, that respective information will be literally loaded into object repository. This is what we will call it as an auto learning. Clear? Up till now it's good and fine. But as I said earlier, like we are not going to use any recording modes in the organization. We are going to write the script manually, as I said earlier. If we are supposed to write the script manually, then you are responsible to add the information into object repository. Got the point? If you record it, you are getting the script. Along with that, the respective information is loading into object repository. It's good and fine. But whenever we write the script manually, then you need to decide that what object should be loaded into object repository. Yes or no? If you are writing the script, then you need to decide like what object should be added into object repository. Yes. So whenever we write a script manually, then you need to add the information into object repository. That is nothing but pre-learning. In the auto learning, QTP adds by itself. In the pre-learning, you need to write it. You need to add it. Whenever we add information into object repository, that's nothing but pre-learning. Okay? Let's see how does this pre-learning happens. Is that clear with this till now? Okay. Okay. Now, so I'm writing a small script to log in. Okay. We'll explain the script, how to write the script in our coming classes. But as of now, I'm trying to write a script to log in into the application. I've written a simple script to click on the button. Okay, to click on the, I'm going to say write the username and writing the password and clicking on OK. Basically, I have written a script to perform these three tasks here. Writing ABCD as the agent name, Mercury, and clicking on OK button. So what happens if I run the test? What happens if I run the test?
There is no information in the object.
Yes. So we have no information in the object repository. It will throw an error message saying that first add the information into object repository because I am not identifying anything. Yes? So here I am running the test. It will throw an error message saying that I don't know what is dialog login is. Because if you have no information in the object repository, in the sense, it has no information in its brain. It don't know what is the agent name. It don't know what is exactly the password is. And even it doesn't know what is the login is. So that is what it is displaying. The login object was not found in the object repository. Clear? Yes. So whenever you write a script manually, then as I said that you need to add the information into object repository. So how to add the information into object repository? Just have a look on this. It's a very important one. Go to resources. You'll get an object repository. Click on the object repository. Yes. Now object repository on the screen. So can you see objects? Objects menu in object repository. Just click on add objects to local. Click on add objects to local. Whenever you click on add objects to local, your mouse becomes like some hand symbol. Just take your hand symbol and click on the application taskbar. This is what you need to remember. You need to click on application taskbar, means at the top of the application. On the taskbar of the application and click OK. Now it will ask you for 4 filter options. The filter options will explain you about the filter options, but as if now select a default filter option and click OK. So now the information has been loaded into object repository. Just have a look on this. Here? Yeah. So we have agent name, password and OK. So we have agent name, password and OK. So our information is existing in the object repository. Now, if I run the test, obviously it will execute.
But even just the cancel and help, but still is content right now.
What is that?
We didn't write about the cancel and the help. We didn't
We
mention
haven't written about the cancel and help. We haven't written. Yes.
But it's still there.
It'll. What happens if it is there? But we have our required information, right? Agent name and password and OK are the required for us. Yes, this is there. Even have some extra. It is nothing wrong to have some extra, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So means it will directly add the information into object repository. It doesn't look what you have written in the script. Yeah. So we have a filter options. Depending on the filter options, what should be loaded? That happens depending on the filter options. I will explain you the filter option, but as if now the information has been loaded into object repository. Now just run the test. We have a valid information here. Whenever we run the test, obviously it will perform the login operation because the required information is existing in object repository. It has successfully logged. See, right? Now we need to discuss about a very important thing, that is what the filter option is. Now I guess your doubt will be cleared, Srilata. Just have a look on this. Just click on add objects to local. Click on application taskbar to add the information into object repository. Click OK. Now we'll be getting a 4 filter option. So completely what should be added into object repository will be decided on these filter options. Clear? So when you select the first filter option, first one, it will select only the parent object. Only the parent object. In the sense, it will load only login information into object repository. No agent name, no password, nothing. Only parents objects will be loaded into object repository. See. Got it?
Yeah.
Yes. So whenever we select a second filter option, whenever we select a second filter option, that is default object type. Whenever we use this option, all the major objects or else major operationable objects like edit boxes, list boxes, drop down boxes, buttons, combo boxes. So all these things will be loaded into object repository by default. See, password, agent name, okay, help and cancel. All these things has been loaded if you use the default one. Just have a look on the application and let me know is that everything is added or anything is missing.
The cancel and help is not there.
Cancel and help is there in the object repository. I am talking about object repository.
Yeah, no. Yeah, yeah.
Everything is loaded.
Okay. Yeah.
Just check, cross examine it, check it once again. Something is.
The picture.
What is that?
Did they come up the picture?
Image, right?
Yeah, image.
Image is also an object, right?
Yeah.
Image information has been not loaded into object repository. Perfect. Image information is not loaded into object repository. It has loaded this agent name, this password, okay, cancel and help. It has not loaded image. And moreover, if you check it perfectly, this is one object. Agent name text is an object actually. And this box is an object. These two are separate objects. This password is an object, text object. And this is a edit box. Is that clear? Agent name is an object and password box is an object. Password is an object and this password box is an object. I mean to say. This is an object and this is a separate object. This is an object and this is an object. And even this is an object. This is an object. This object. This object. So here edit boxes. So QTP has loaded the information, but it has loaded the information of the edit boxes. Edit boxes. Agent name. Just check it. Class is been edited. Right? It has loaded this object called password. Even that class is also been edited. It has not loaded this agent name and password static text, what we call it as that it has been not loaded. It has loaded the edit boxes information. So static text, images. So basically on the static text and images will not perform any activity. So that's the reason it is not coming under or it doesn't fall under your default object type. If you use the other object type called all objects type, then it will load everything. Just let me delete this. Click on application taskbar. Click OK. If I select all objects type, see here. So this agent name and password here would say it as a static. Just have a look on this. Static. Static. Even this is also a static. Right? So these are static text. This is static text. So this two represents edit actually. See here, edit, win. So this two represent these boxes and this two represent this text. So it has loaded the static text as well as image also. The static here. The static represents image. This is image. So whenever we use all object type, it will load default object type plus images and static text. Basically, images and static text basically will not perform any testing activities on the static text normally. So that's the reason it is not considered as a default one. Okay. Next. Is that clear? Next. So basically in the organization we use default object type only. Okay. So next we have selected object type. If I want to load only images into object repository or else if I want to add only buttons into object repository. Then we need to select object type. What type of object you want? I want only buttons to be added. Just select the buttons. That's it. Just select the buttons. Click OK. Now how many buttons I have? 3. OK, cancel and help. Only that information will be loaded into object repository. See. If I want only edit boxes to be loaded, let's assume that. So you can select only the edit boxes. Click on application taskbar. Click OK. The results here. So only edit boxes information will be loaded into object repository. Here, now it's good. It's fine. We are good with now 4 filter options. Now the thing is that I want to add only a specific object. If I add only the OK, then the login can be processed. I have agent name and password. The only OK is sufficient to run it. If I click on a taskbar, then it will add the group of object. I don't want. I want only one specific object to be added. If you want to add only one specific object rather than adding a group object, if you want to add only a specific object, then basically we'll be using the same process, but we'll be clicking on that OK button directly. We'll be clicking on that OK button directly. See, the only OK has been added. If you want to add a specific object, just click on the object directly. The object will be literally loaded into object repository. If you want to add a group of objects, then click on the application taskbar. You need to click on this here at top here. Then it will ask you for the 4 filter options. If you want to load only one object, a specific object at a time, then directly if you want to load OK, click on the OK directly and it will load into object repository. It will not ask you any filter options. Only single item will be loaded. If you want to add group of objects, then we need to click on the application taskbar. Clear? This is way how we add the information into object repository. But why we call it as a pre-learning? See here, it can be pre or post-learning, no worries. We can add the script and load the information into object repository, your script will run. But here, whenever we write the information into object repository and if you try to write a script, means first load the information into object repository. After that, if you try to write the script, then your QTP will prompt you. Your QTP will help you while writing the script. If I write a dialog and if I just open a bracket, see, it is prompting with log, right? If I write dot win button or as win edit, if I open it a bracket, just have a look on this. It is prompting me whether I need to select the agent name or password. Means if you have the information in the object repository, then QTP will help us while writing the script. So that's the reason we call it as a pre-learning. First, add the information into object repository, then write the script. Anyways, it will work. We can add the information into object repository and we can execute it. Yes, either way. First, you can add the information, then you can run it. First you can add the information and then you can write it, or else then write it and add it. Anything will work fine. Yes, there is no difference between the execution of the script. But the thing is that whenever we first add the information into object repository and after that whenever you write a script manual, in that case whenever we're writing it, QTP will prompt us, QTP will help us so that we can write it in a faster way and moreover we can avoid syntax errors or else we can avoid some errors. Here, so that is the reason first add the required information into object repository and then write the script. Is that clear? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. So how to write the script will define you. But if you have the information in the object repository, then it's very easy to write the script. Clear? When compared to without having that in the object repository. Clear? So this is what the object repository story is. I am completely repeating the topic. Just have a look on this again. 1 second. Yes. So now object repository. Object repository is the place where it stores the object properties. So if you have the information in the object repository of any object, only in that circumstances, the object will be identified by your QTP and objects, and we can perform activity on it. So without having any information in the object repository, your test or that object will not be recognized by the object repository and execution is impossible. Clear? So that's the reason we are going to add the information into object repository. So adding the information into object repository, information in the sense its properties. Okay. So adding the information into object repository is called learning process. So we have two types of learning process. One is auto learning and other one is the pre-learning. Auto learn means whenever you click on record and perform any activity, this auto learning happens automatically. So if you perform transaction on OK button information will be loaded. If you perform transaction on cancel button information will be loaded. So depending on your operation or else with respect to your operation, that information will be automatically loaded into object repository. Yes. Next we have a pre-learning. Pre-learning in the sense whenever you write a script, then you need to define like which object should be added into object repository. If that is the case, we need to add the information into object repository. For adding the information into object repository, we need to move on to the object repositories. In the object repositories, we have options called object. In that object, we have an option called add objects to local. By clicking on that, we can add the information into object repository. But it will prompt you for 4 filter options. Yes. So first filter option will add only the parent object. Second filter option with all the default objects, like all the editable objects. Next filter option, all objects type, it will add the default objects type plus images and static text. The last filter option, using that we can add a specific object into object repository. It can be a button, it can be edit box, it can be anything. You can select that appropriate one and only the specific object, specific class of an object will be loaded into object repository. Okay? So this object repository, as I said, it works like a brain for the QTP. So that's the reason this object repository plays a very important role in your QTP chapter. Okay?